Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be working out in the front, maybe in the back, depending on how we are on timing. And we are going to start getting all of our beautiful, colorful annuals in the ground. You guys remember a few weeks ago, we were at Bauman Farms and I went to buy some ornamental grasses, but instead I accidentally left with a truckload of annuals, which that happens sometimes to the best of us. So anyways, we have a beautiful selection of colors that we are going to be planting today that I'm so excited to see how this is going to look in our garden. Here is the first batch of plants that we are going to get out into the garden in the front. And I do have some other things in the back that we might bring out, but I think let's start with these first and then we will see how far we get. So let me just go over some of the plants that we have. I can't remember, now that I'm looking at this, I don't know if this is going to be for the front or for the back. So we'll set these guys aside and we'll just focus on these other guys. And you can see we're going to go with kind of like a purple white theme this year, which I'm excited, but I won't lie, I'm kind of nervous about. And I'll talk to you guys about that in a sec. But first, let's look at the plants that we have. So starting out, we have Supertunia Tiara Blue. This was new this year. And I saw a few gardeners try this out in their garden last year, and I just thought it was so unique, so different. I am not usually somebody that goes for these two-tone types of flowers, but there's something about these that just kind of glow. And I was actually looking for Supertunia Bordeaux, but I couldn't find any in our area. So I'm a little bit upset about that. So I thought, well, let's go with these guys. So these will require full to part sun. They're going to get full sun. This whole area is going to be pretty much full sun. Next, we have Rockin' Playing the Blues Salvia. Now this one you guys are probably familiar with. Everybody and their mother talks about this salvia and how wonderful it is. So it's going to be our first time planting it out in our garden, and I'm so excited to see how it does. Now this one requires full to part sun and will get about 24 to 48 inches tall and wide. Next we have this really interesting euphorbia. This one is called Flurry, and this one can take full sun to shade. And these will get about 10 to 12 inches wide and 10 to 15 inches tall. Next up, we have Supertunia Vista Silverberry. Now this is more of my vibe. It's kind of got a pink, like a very pale pink color to it, and then in the inside, so its throat is a little bit darker. It just has that really beautiful dark pink magenta veining throughout the whole flower. Then we have Superbena Sparkling Amethyst, which I am very, very excited about this one. And just look, let me find a good bloom. Look at how pretty that is. It just like has a glowing effect to it. I actually do enjoy the two-tone in this flower here, and I think it's because it's like little clusters of flowers versus just having one solid flower. This I actually really enjoy. Oh, you know what? I accidentally got this one, but this is not part of the plan. This is Superbena Storm Bust. Darn, I didn't mean to get this one. It's pretty though. Full sun to part sun. Anyways, we also have some of these Brazilian verbena that we grew from seed together. These are looking really beautiful. They just need to get in the ground. Like they are ready. Look at the roots. Oh, there's a slug on there, yuck. Yeah, these are very past due to get in the ground, so I think they're going to be a lot happier. And these verbena will get about 1 to 3 feet tall and wide and will take full sun. So here's the thing. I haven't had the pleasure of working with proven winner annuals before. I think I've played around with them a little bit, but the reason why is because they're hard to source for us here. I don't see a lot of garden centers around here having a lot of variety to choose from until I went to Bauman's and I was like, oh, here they are. And so now that I know that they have them, I'm like, well, it's my time now. I get to play with these and I'm so excited about them. And I usually focus on adding a lot of like cut flowers in our beds, but bedding annuals are so important because they are going to really make your garden pop. They are going to add that color, that flair, and it's just going to tie your garden all together, especially in the summertime where you want to see a lot of color. So I'm super, super, super excited about this. I was even getting a little bit emotional because I'm like, I finally get to use them. Like I always see our friends using them in their garden and I'm like, now it's my time. I'm so excited. I also think my friend Janie from Dig Plant Water Repeat got into my head a little bit because last year when she was visiting our garden, she was talking about like, your garden could use some really beautiful annuals. And I was like, you're right. And then of course her garden is just full of beautiful annuals and color. So I was like, all right, Claudia, Like, we're gonna do this. We're actually going to do this year. Most of you have probably planted a lot of proven winner annuals in your garden, which I love that for you guys because I haven't had the chance to do it until I learned that Bauman has a ton of them. So it's just going to be fun to do something different in our garden. I've always dreamt of doing this, like ever since we got into gardening and I started to learn more about these annuals and how they perform in the garden and what a beast they are and what a color show they put on the garden. So it's just, again, I can't emphasize enough how excited I am to see these in the garden. So this is the first bed that we are going to be working in right now. Now I do want to come in and maybe cut back some of our bulbs. They're not ready to be cut back yet, but I think I'm going to, and just fertilize them, supplement them with a little bit of bulb tone like we did with the other ones. But this is a space that we really want more color. I do have some perennials coming in that are putting on nice growth and they're going to start blooming here soon, which I'm excited about. We have some, I think this was, oh my gosh, you guys, I forgot. August Sunset Rudbeckia, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. I'll have to take a look. And then we have this delphinium that's just getting so massive. And look at this, just full of buds. And then we have some pineapple lilies that I planted a few years ago. Those get really massive and I probably should have divided them, but you know, it is what it is. So all of this area here, I want to bring color. Even under the maple, I might try to tuck in a few things that are going to cascade out. That way when you're looking through it, you can still see through the tree, but you're gonna have some really fun colors down there. Now we'll obviously have to look for something that can withstand a little bit of shade. I have to remind myself that we're bringing other perennials right back here, so I don't wanna go too heavy on the annuals like in this little corner over here, but this area we can kind of go heavy-handed. Now if I swing over to this bed over here, we're also going to be bringing in some annuals, kind of tucking them in throughout. Look at the squirrels. They're already digging their holes. Right after we had the mulch delivered, they wasted no time at all. So in this space, I just, again, want to just come in with a ton of color this year and just really make this garden pop. I don't think we're going to be planting here today in this space, but we are getting rid of the base of this fountain here. We talked about that several times. I just can't seem to work with it, so I am going to just have somebody come out and take it, and I might come in and tuck in some other annuals in this bed. However, I'm thinking I want to bring in a different color, maybe less purple, a little bit more yellow, maybe some peachy tones. So we might wait on this bed right here just because I want to see how everything looks when I cut back our columbine here and just kind of assess this space a little bit more. So let's go ahead and lay everything out and see how everything looks, and then we will get to planting. We are going to limb up our maple here in a bit just because it's just getting a little too full for our taste. And I'd like to see the branching more, especially with a maple. So what I'll do is just come in and, oh gosh, well, we are going to start back there because I want to put some of our taller things in the back, and then we will just play around with the placement of everything else. Boy, I am on the undecisive bus committee today. I cannot make up my mind. I wish I could call proven winners right now and just ask them like, hey, what do you think about this? I don't know why I'm second guessing myself, and the camera died when I was setting all of the plants. So let me show you what we have set out before we actually start planting. All right, I came in and quickly just pruned back the maple. That way now you can see much better now that things are limbed up, and it just opens it up a bit more. I think that was visually better for me to set these out. And again, I am new to planting all of these new bedding annuals. So I feel like this feels good to me. I don't know why I'm second guessing myself. I'm almost like having a little panic attack because I can't make up my mind. But I think we're looking good. We have several drifts of the euphorbia and then the supertunia and then the superbena kind of just tucked throughout. You know what? I could have probably used another flat or two of each plant. Like now that I'm looking at this, I probably should have gone a little bit more. We have the salvias in the back. Those are going to get the tallest. The superbena and then all of the other annuals here are similar height. I'm hoping because they are different enough, they're not going to look too flat. I think the euphorbia is probably going to get a little bit taller than the superbena and then the supertunia. But I think this is feeling good. I did tuck in some of the verbena back here as well. And then the other salvias are going to be right here in the back because again, those will get the tallest. So my hope is when we're walking through is that we're just going to see these beautiful tall panicles of the salvias just kind of popping through everything. And if we swing over here, I'm going to leave this area open and we can come in with something that's going to kind of hug this little corner of the bed. And then I just, again, repeated some of the same plant pairings. I am going to tuck in a salvia right back there. And then some more of the Supertunia tiaras up here, a couple of euphorbias. And then in this bed, the same thing. We kind of repeated the same pattern. I could have, again, done more with the salvias, but what we can do is come in and just add more in. So I think we're okay. Even like with the Supertunias, I'm like, oh gosh, I could have used a little bit more. But that also gives us opportunity to come in with different things that we can kind of tuck in throughout and maybe even behind it, maybe a different color. I don't know yet. And the last plant is just going to be right over here. So I'm going to cut off right at this part of the bed with a salvia right here. But I am really second guessing myself today and I don't know why. I don't know if you guys ever have those days. Maybe because I have a lot on my mind. We are about to go on a trip and we have a ton of things to do. I don't know about you, but I feel like I always have all of these projects to do before a trip. Anyways, I just have this little voice in my head that keeps saying this is either going to be really ugly or really beautiful. I'm hoping it's going to be beautiful, and I think it will. All right, I am going to carefully move the mulch back. We will drill our holes. I'm going to put a little bit of Biotone starter fertilizer in each hole. This is going to help with the root development, and it has a slow release fertilizer, so we are going to use that first, and we will get everything planted up. All right, all holes dug. I like to use this little bucket for my Biotone just because, I don't know, it just makes sprinkling everything in a little bit easier because sometimes I measure too much with the heart. Too much comes out. So this just allows me to control it a little bit more. right, now that we have everything planted, I am so happy with how everything is looking. I think I'm most excited about this area right here, just because I feel like the layers are going to be really, really nice. And that is something that I try to get better at every single year, is just to make sure I have my high, my medium, my low, my extra low, all the way until we meet the lawn. So I think this is going to be a good foundation for some of the other perennials and maybe a couple of shrubs I want to come in and plant in this area. I have one echinacea over here, and I believe we used to have a couple more. There's just like a little trio of them here, but I don't know if they just died off or what happened. So I want to come in once these alliums are done blooming and just maybe tuck in 2 more in this space right over here. Now the Brazilian verbena I planted back there, and I am kind of pushing it because they will thrive better in full sun. But I am hoping now that we've limbed things up a bit, it's going to get more light to it. It's hard to tell right now because it's a cloudy day, but I think, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, that it's going to look really beautiful. And then we have the euphorbia kind of tucked in throughout. And I really love these flowers because they provide a little bit of, gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit of calmness. And they have that ethereal look to them, which I think will be nice to kind of break things up, especially because we will have a lot of flowers in this space. So these are probably one of my favorite annuals to add to the garden. I also tucked in another salvia back there. There's one back there. I think we have 3 total in the back over here. And again, I'm just hoping that when we walk by, we're just going to see those beautiful purple blooms just kind of peeking out from everywhere in the garden. I also tucked in one right over here, just because if you guys recall, when we had Eduardo out here helping us prune this Japanese maple, this branch is dying, which is a little bit concerning. We're keeping our eye on it. But I think what's going on, it's getting a lot of sun beat on it, so it doesn't have any growth above it to protect it. So I'm hoping that it's going to be okay. If not, then we're going to have to consider, gosh, maybe removing this whole branch, which would be such a loss. But in the meantime, because we do have this kind of gap right over here, it looks a little bit funny. So I'm hoping, I should have moved this hosta, but I'm hoping that this salvia will kind of grow in and just kind of fill in the space a little bit better. Sergey came out and was like, "You're going to leave this area empty?" And I'm like, yes, just for now, but we are going to come in and plant some other things over here, so don't worry. I did a little trio of the verbena right over here. In this bed, we continued that same pattern throughout here. I think we need something very pretty and low growing right over here in this space here. Maybe something white, maybe something a little bit yellow, maybe even like a very light pink, but definitely something over here. I think the salvia is going to fill in that space very nicely. And there's also one tucked in right back there. I feel like we can still come in with a few more of these annuals and kind of spread them out a little bit more. However, I think I'm also just being impatient because these will get really large, and I have to keep that in mind because I don't want things to get overly crowded. So I'm just kind of being mindful of that. And then in this area here, I want to come in with something very special. I don't know what yet, but maybe like more perennials or maybe a low growing shrub. Even something back here and right along the house, I would like to bring in a few more things as well. Now, in terms of maintenance, I am going to stay on top of fertilizing because if you want your annuals to perform to their full potential, you have to fertilize them, and you have to fertilize them probably more than you would think. I remember talking to somebody about this, and they would fertilize their annuals like 2-3 times a week, which is a lot. But again, these plants were bred to perform, and you have to give them the fuel to do so. So I will come in at least once a week and fertilize everything with a good water-soluble fertilizer. I'll make sure to link some down below that I like and I've used in the past. And I'll make sure to stay on top of deadheading things like our salvia just to make sure that they're going to continuously bloom for us throughout the whole season. And from what I've seen and what I've read, this salvia is like such a good performer. It's one of those plants that just puts on a show all season long. So I'm also debating if I need to go back to the garden center and pick up some more for the back. I do have another salvia for the back. However, This variety here is just so beautiful, and I know the pollinators are going to love it. I'm feeling a lot better about all of the plants. Again, I was just having a little creative block. And you know when that happens when you're like out in the garden and you're planting things and then you're questioning yourself, and it's like, why am I questioning myself? Because I'm obviously great. So why am I questioning it? Just kidding. But you know how those days are. You're second guessing yourself. And at the end of the day, I'm also the type of person that if I don't like something like a tree, I will move it. I don't care if it's a tree, I will move that tree if it's not just filling my heart with joy. But I think these plants are going to be so pretty once they're all full and growing. And I think there's just going to be so much color in our garden this year. I'm so excited to see how it's all going to look. We have a lot more planting to do in the back, which I'm very excited about. There's a lot of pink going on in the back, which I'm very excited about because that's more of my tone, like the peachy, the pinks. I really love those colors. So I'm very excited for those, and we'll do that another day. Other than that, I think that does it for today's video. Again, just looking forward to seeing all of the colors. I hope you guys are too. This feels like so new to me. I don't know why. I just don't ever get the chance to play with a lot of bedding annuals like these. And now that I can, I'm like, oh, the doors are wide open now. There's no turning back. There's just no turning back. And I still will use some annual cut flowers for the garden. So I'm going to tuck in some zinnias here and there, maybe some different dahlias as well. So that is not going to stop me from adding more cut flowers in the landscape. Still definitely going to do that as well. Anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today in my garden, and I'll see you guys in our next video. Bye-bye.